Hello and welcome back to my crafting desk. This isn't really my crafting desk today. I'm doing some rearranging, so I'm going to try to do this video from my vanity here. Today I'm going to share with you how to create these rhinestone wrap bracelets. This has been pretty requested on my Facebook page, so I thought it was time. About is your stone options. Now, of course, different craft stores will have different things. This is from Michaels, and this is kind of the common quality I have found in the actual jewelry sections. This is the sale by yard. Now you can see the difference in quality here. I see this on the YouTube videos. People will do this wrapping style. Now this style is fine. I tend to be fairly saying that I'm anal, but I guess I am. I just didn't like the way that this lays, nor what it does to your bracelets. Can you see how kind of twisty they are? So here is how I have come up with making these. Now they are still a little bit twisty, but not nearly as much. And I have two different styles here. One just has a button. This one's a little skull button. This is the exact same style with a round button. Now this one is a little clasp. I start mine off with a square knot, and then I alternate which way I wrap, and I'm going to go into detail about that. Interestingly, you know, with doing it this style as well, I think that square knot detail turns out pretty. So if you're making one for somebody with an 8-inch wrist, say, you just add more of the knotting detail, and I think it looks very pretty that way. The medium I use to wrap with is metallic threading. You can use anything you want. You can use cotton cord. I mean, you've seen probably other tutorials where other things are used. This is also a really great way, you know, right now kind of the neons are so in style, so it's an easy way to get that pop of color to bracelets that people are going for. Just over 60 inches total. I have the foundation built for the bracelet I'm going to make today, but I will show you how we get to this point. This is just not a long enough piece of thread, but I'm just going to show you how. Now here's the button style. You just slide on your button, tie a knot, and slide it down. And then what you will do is measure out how long you want. I usually do 21.5 to 22 inches. Once you find that length, you're just going to make your button loop. Oops. Like I said, this is going to be a little bit harder today since I'm not actually at my crafting desk. Okay, so we just make sure our loop fits, and it does, on your board. Now, my board is a 30-inch piece of leftover wood from something my husband was doing in the garage. I like this long board because it you know, it's more space than a clipboard, and it just works for me. I have a couple of these actually. So then I will lay it out like this, and I will put clamps at either end. And you want to lay it out fairly taut, not tight, but taut. Then what you'll do is kind of figure out where you're going to want your rhinestones on your bracelet. Run a piece of glue, and it doesn't have to be a lot of glue. Just make sure you do focus at your starting and your stopping point, and then just put a few dabs down along the way. And then what I find I like to do is gather it in my hand and kind of place, because you don't want this part dangling in your super glue. This particular bracelet I'm doing today, I chose to do a clasping closure rather than a button. However, quite honestly, I do prefer the button closures better. They're just easier than trying to clasp this on yourself. But either way, it doesn't matter. I like the look of the clasp, bracelets, so sometimes I make them this way, sometimes I make them the other way. Once I get done and secure my knot here, I'll trim this off, or you can leave it on if you like the tassel look. This one has a small one, and this end has a small one too. If you do leave it on and say you're making it for a friend or for sale, someone can still adjust this ever so slightly. Seeing all the stuff that's on my bed, I'm rearranging in here, so you'll have to forgive that little messy corner if you can see it. Okay, anyway, we're gonna find the middle. Just like starting any square knot bracelet that I've done before, I do have a tutorial in depth on this, so I will put a link to that in the description box below. So I'm just going to start off by tying a regular knot, just as if I was tying my shoelace. I'm going to slide it up to wherever I want to start that color accent. And then, as you can imagine, these get tangled. Wrap these up. And I have 2 different colored bobby pins here. There's a yellow one, the brown one. So now I'm just going to start with that basic square knot. My yellow side happens to be my leading string for the way I like to make them. I'm going to go under, over, and this one goes through the mouth. Now my leading is on this side. I'm going to go under, over the other string, and the string goes through the fish, the mouth of the fish. And this is really just a pretty accent. It's nothing more than that. You can do as little or as much as you want. So I've got my square knot to how I want it. And then the next process is just so easy. And it doesn't matter which side you work with, you just will know that your other string you will wrap in the opposite direction. We're just wrapping once through each rhinestone space. Along, you will notice that your bracelet is twisting. That's okay. Just make sure that you've continuously hold your rhinestones in your hand, and when you go through with the next string you twist the other way so it actually quite straightens it out. Now that I'm at the end, I'm just going to wrap it a couple of times just to keep it secured. Bobby pin comes in handy once again. We have our other thread, and you just want to make sure that you wrap it in the opposite direction of the last one, so you'll see you get crisscrosses on the back. And this is also going to straighten out your bracelet because you'll have kind of 2 opposing forces. X's that are going on there. Continue wrapping this all the way down, and then I'll be back. I'm to the end of wrapping my bracelet. This is what the back side of your bracelet should look like. Now if you've missed a throw, you'll notice that. You won't notice it on your wrist, but you'll notice it when you're looking. My bobby pin off the end, and just make sure you're not letting go during this phase. But from the way you've wrapped it, you'll have one coming out one side and one the other. Now we are just going to tie a regular knot. The way we finish is the same way we started with a square knot. We have our regular knot. I'm going to take my leading string, under. Now, if you're afraid you'll have troubles remembering what your leading string is, put a bobby pin back on it or tie a funky knot. There are ways you can look at the stitch to know which side you need to start with next, but this is just kind of my way of no-braining it, if you know what I mean. Then you never have to second guess, oh, which string was I supposed to start with? I feel like Octo Lady. I've got one leg holding my bracelet, and anyway, it's interesting when your crafting desk is under construction, how hard it actually is then to successfully or comfortably craft. And I've done my square knotting to the length I prefer. I'm just going to tie a regular knot. What I do is dab some glue, side cutters and all of that fancy stuff. I find a cheap pair of toenail clippers works best. I can hold it well in my hand and it just cuts nicely for me. There is our bracelet. And I'm going to put this bad boy on for you. And there we have it. Thanks for watching. Lacquer and Lace.